In this series, we're going to be taking a look at every single Hiya Exquisite basic figure in the Godzilla line, every repaint, reissue, 2.0, whatever they put out. We're going to be taking a look at them all in release order. Let's get started. All right, kicking off this series, we have the figure that kicked off the whole line. This is the Hiya Exquisite Basic Godzilla from Godzilla vs. Kong. This figure released at the tail end of 2022, and man, did they kick things off strong. It's crazy to think that it's only been 3 years since the line started and how much they've evolved since then, but I'm going to be doing my best not to compare future figures. So, Godzilla from Godzilla vs. Kong, what a beautiful figure. Something Hiya does really well is paint. In particular, Hiya does dry brushing and washes to such a great degree. It's honestly impressive how they can manufacture this level of paint. The base figure has a dark, almost charcoal gray applied, with dry brushing of a much lighter gray. You can see that all around on the fine details, particularly on the scales near the back spines and also on the plates on the legs here. And then on top of that, the figure is covered in an almost an earth brown wash. Now that's going to really bring out all the detailing in every single nook and cranny of this figure. You can see it especially on the tail. We take a look at some of these details running all the way down the tail. Taking a look at the inside of the thighs here, you can really see all that detailing, all the rough skin texture brought to life by this wash. And especially as we move up to the head. Some of the paint is a little heavy-handed. I think they could have toned it down just a little bit on the teeth here. There's also an accidental splotch of paint on the tip of my tail here. I mean, just look at the detailing on the roof of the mouth in there. Wow. Something else Hiya really excels at are eyes. We're going to be taking a look at the eyes, especially on every figure as we go through this series. Paint application on such a tiny, tiny detail. The fact that I can make out how red those eyes are, and the fact that I can make out the pupil of those eyes is simply astonishing. Now, I will say the front of the chest does get a little muddy. Some people might believe that's due to a lack of detailing, but I honestly believe that's due to an over-application of paint. Now let's get into articulation. We're going to go from top down, starting with both the head and the neck, because there's something I want to talk about here. It's really impressive what Hiya managed to do on this figure. So the head is on a ball joint, and the neck is, it's not quite a barbell joint. It's actually a barbell hinge joint inside the neck. I'll pop the head off so I can show you what I'm talking about here. So as you can see, it is a barbell joint with a pinned hinge, in the middle of the neck. Now, what that translates to in terms of articulation on the neck, the ball joint at the base of the head, you are able to get a pretty good amount of motion. And also the ball joint at the base of the neck, you're also going to get a good amount of motion. You're able to get the head looking down about that far and up a pretty good amount, and side to side a decent amount. Now, doing this will expose the gaps in the sleeves. This was a very hot topic a few years ago when this figure first came out. But that is because of that hinge. And also because of the hinge, if you rotate the whole joint around, you're actually able to hinge the neck to the side much farther than you can if you have it pointed straight up. This will make it look very ugly from one side, but from the other side, man, this looks so good. Now, the jaw is on a pinned hinge, and you can see that pin on the side of the jaw. That was another hot topic when this figure first came out. The tongue is also on a hinge, as you can see there. Moving down to the shoulders are going to be on ball joints. You can get them all the way around, and you can get this guy nearly T-posing. Look at that. That's a great amount of range of the shoulders. The elbows are going to be on hinges. They can hinge just about 90 degrees, and they can swivel all the way around. The wrists are going to be all ball joints. They're going to have a pretty limited amount of range. You can get them all the way around, and then they can go in and out about that much, and up and down about that much. The waist, in my opinion, is the most disappointing part of the articulation. The waist is on a ball joint, but it's extremely limited. You can get a crunch about that far. That's about all you're getting for a crunch. And you can straighten them out about that far. You are able to rotate them all the way around. Moving on to the legs, the thighs are on ball joints, and you can get the legs swinging all the way around, and you can splay them out a pretty decent amount. The knees, I believe these are double hinges. I'm not too certain, but either way, you can straighten out the legs about that much. And there are 2 points of articulation, one above the knee and one below the knee. You can get it bent about that much. The ankles are on ball joints. You can get a pretty decent rocker out of them. Again, not fantastic, but it is what it is. Can't really bend them back, though. That's another complaint of mine with the feet. They can really only straighten out, and forward is okay. Could use more, a deeper cut. Now let's move on to the tail. Now, in my opinion, this tail gets a pretty bad rep. And we'll be taking a look at the monster arts for a comparison to show what I mean, but for now, let's focus on this tail. Starting from the tip of the tail, there's a segment here, 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 and here. All of these segments are on ball joints. Now, in terms of range from these ball joints, that's where things are going to get a little dicey. Starting with a curve up. This is about the most you can get the tail curved up. And it is going to reset a little bit. You can get the tail straightened out pretty much all the way. Although because of the number of segments, you're going to see some gaps when you straighten the tail out. Now, I do want to mention, on my copy, I don't know if this is the case for every copy of this figure, but there is 1 point of failure on this tail. And that would be right here. This part of the tail likes to pop off when I push it really far. Now, I do want to stress, that's when I'm really pushing it. But if I try and do anything crazy, sometimes that tail part does like to pop off. Now, while we're on the subject of tails, real quick, I just want to show a comparison here of how this tail isn't as disappointing as some people, as I've heard from some people. I'll put it that way. So here we have the monster arts. I believe this is the Godzilla X Kong version. It's the same mold they've been using for years. I actually like this figure a lot more than people give it credit for. The paint on this figure is really cool, and the tolerances on this figure are some of the best I've seen from this mold for a while. Now, the tail on this figure, every sculpted segment is a ball joint, as you can see. Maybe you can't see. There we go. And even then, you can only get a curve up from this figure about that far. Okay, let's get the Hiya curved up. And there goes its tail. In terms of curving up, these tails are pretty similar. Side to side motion. I'm not gonna lie, the Monster Arts tail, again with the joint tolerances being so much better on this release, this tail is really impressive for this sculpt. You can get the tail on this figure almost pointed right at him. It's a really deep curve. Very impressive for Monster Arts for this mold. But again, just to compare it to the original Hiya figure, the curve isn't as deep, but that's still a pretty impressive curve, considering that this tail has about half as many joints as this tail. And also the tolerances on this figure are much better overall. All right, that's enough of the Monster Arts. All right, so this figure is going to stand at 7 inches tall. You can get him lower or higher depending on the stance, but he stands naturally at 7 inches tall. You can actually get this figure at a pretty imposing, call it 7.5 inches tall. That's pretty good. An extra half an inch just from straightening the figure out. Now, again, I don't want to bring out any future Hiya figures as I want to try and keep this isolated to just this figure. So for a size comparison, let's bring back out the Monster Arts just so you can see how that's going to scale up compared to a standard Monster Arts figure. Here's how he'll scale to a Rockstar energy drink. Not sponsored. I just have this on hand. And a banana for scale. So all in all, this was a fantastic first release from Hiya. They hit the ground running, and man, what an amazing 3 years it's been so far. As of recording this, we just had the San Diego Comic-Con 2025 reveals, and holy crap, is the next year going to also be amazing. But bringing it back to this particular figure, there are a few areas that Hiya needed to improve on. And we'll be taking a look on how exactly they went about improving those the next time we see this figure. But you can't deny just how impressive, how much of a statement this first figure was. Hiya was by no means a brand new company when they released this, but they were dipping their toes in the Godzilla fandom for the first time, and the message was loud and clear. But now the question needs to be, looking back on this figure 3 years later, is this figure still worth seeking out for a collector today? There are going to be some things that I can't directly answer right now, as I don't want to bring out a newer Godzilla to compare this to. But I will say there are some things that only exist on this figure that we have not seen Hiya go back to on future releases. The neck and eyes on this figure in particular are unique to this figure. The spines, while not necessarily movie accurate, are also unique to this figure. I would say a die-hard collector looking for every unique mold should probably still seek this figure out, as you're going to find some enjoyment in this that you won't in others. But a casual fan or a new collector going into the line, I gotta say, it's hard to recommend this figure today. This was an easy sell a couple years ago, but unfortunately, this figure is no longer in production today. In fact, I think this is the only figure that is not being reissued today, which is unfortunate. I do think there's value in owning this, but I don't know if this is necessarily worth the price it commands in the aftermarket today. Well, I think that's going to just about do it for this video. Sorry, I got to talk a little louder. There's a dog nearby that is going batshit crazy. Yeah, next time we're going to be taking a look at this figure's companion piece, the original Godzilla vs. Kong figure. That's going to be a very interesting look, as that figure has not aged very well at all. Thank you so much if you've stuck around to the end of this video. Again, first video on the channel. It's been a very long time since I've made YouTube videos. Let me know in the comments if there's any ways you think I can improve on this video, the editing, the shots that I made. I would love to hear them all. Until the next time, guys. See ya.